It always comes to this. More nice Hey guys, back again to do well, not a tattoo progress update today, but we're in that terrain. It's been, I think, 3 days since I had my forehead extension done, and it's mostly peeling. Some of this is, I think, probably going to need a touch-up, which doesn't upset me at all. Obviously, I have no concern with that. I have no issue doing touch-ups in most cases. Doing touch-ups in anything solid black or solid color is not only to be expected, but will make the work overall better. It's part of what I'm going to talk about today a little bit. But before that, I'll just mention quickly that I find face tattoos generally take 2 passes to really work out. I think that the skin on your face is fairly callous. It's so, in most cases, unless you're doing like just very, very simple things, I think anything solid saturation on a face is probably going to take, a little touch up. In case you're planning on getting anything on your face, yeah, just plan for 2. So on that note, I wanted to take some time here. I've been meaning to make this video again for a little while. I have made a video similar to this. It was close to 2 years ago now, believe it or not, already. I don't believe it because I feel like it was yesterday. It's just what comes of a busy life. But I made a video called Some Things I've Learned Working Over Black, or what was it? Some Things I've Learned About White on Black Tattoos, or Black on Black and White on Black Tattoos. And I've learned a few more things since then, although where I was at then was visually, it was less apparent visually that I had, because once I figured out all of these things and kind of once we ironed out all the kind of kinks in the armor, we got rolling really quick, which is part of why over the last year and a half or so, my physical transformation has been quite remarkable. Even to look back on from my own vantage point, it's there's been a lot of change. Like there's been a ton since this time 2 years ago. This time 2 years ago, I guess 3 days ago, 2 years ago, so 2 years and 3 days ago, I had just blacked out the, I think it was the second pass on the blackout of the dagger and the rose on my jawline, and the reshaping of my face had begun, and all of these lines were just black. So now they've been worked on with black on black, red on black, and white on black. And that didn't happen overnight. That's been a labor of love. We did 2 passes of blackout to begin with, and then we've done 3 passes of white and 3 passes of red on most of this, and only 2 passes of red around the lines there. But the lines have been done 3 times with white. I have not done anything white on black more than 3 times. That's been the limit. You'll see some people out there. I've seen this recently. Anthony Bennett had another color on black forearm piece that he did go fairly viral. And there were some knuckleheads in there talking about, well, of course, Remy's tattoos look good. He's touching them up all the time. And that's not the case. And the people who watch this channel will know this already. But the people just passing through here, you'll know that I have only in one spot done color on black more than 3 times. That was the center of my eye tattoo. And that was because that was already a white, black, and color on black piece before we blacked it out and did another one. So in that case, the layering has become absurd. In most cases, however, you do 3 passes is generally going to be the limit. And this moon has been passed 3 times with white, and then obviously we did the red border around it, and we're in the process of building over it with color on black tentacles to extend to the sleeve that Rick and I have been working on for the last year. The way that this moon originally was laid out was done with black lines and some black shading inside of it, and then white around the black shading and lines, and that's how it maintained its contrast. It was the same thing the first time we did, well, no, the first time we did this rose, it was just black on black, but the time we got it to stay the best was when we did white and black on black together. Now, I spent a long time in 2020 and 2021 working on my torso with Rocky Mountain Rick on Instagram, and we were doing primarily black on black. And what was happening is every 3 to 4 months, the lines weren't going away; they weren't vanishing. Every color or every black on black project we did, it was still there to some degree, and even the oldest lines that we did on my blackout are still visible. But the problem was they weren't super striking, and they weren't super dark. So by the time you went to add the color or the white into anything, you'd need to redo the black. So after some fucking around and some learning pains, because we tried this with white as well, just white on its own, and it was the same thing. White would tend to darken on its own over black, and that's where people believe that white on black won't stay. It never vanished, but it would darken to a very dark gray. And then unless you do the two together, you don't really keep any sort of contrast. So when I say do the two together, people are always confused. They think I mean that you're using black and then you're covering the black that you used with white immediately after, which obviously makes no sense. And I don't think it's a problem of my explanation of it either. I just think that people are having a hard time wrapping their minds around this. What it means is that every one of my pieces was lined and partly shaded with black. You can see that here. Then there's color put in places in between the black shading and black lining. Same thing when these roses were done, when they were the white on black version. So many people say the white on black version. It's become a bit of a pet peeve, and it's a problem of language there, because most of my work has been, I would say, 80% black on black. And then you come in with color and white highlights. And it's the same thing. It's the same balance as what you have here, right? So this wasn't done over black, but it's the same balancing. Almost everything in here is more black on black than white on black, or at least half. If we had just done white shading over top of black and not done the new structure of the black on black that we have here in this rose, for example, which is 2 years old without a touch-up, 3 passes again, just for keeping things. We did 2 full passes of white, 1 pass of black on black, and then we did a white highlight. So not all of it is at the same point of brightness. That was done on purpose to achieve highlights. Anyway, the point is, if we didn't do these new black lines, you cannot assume that the negative space that you leave there is going to be dark enough to pop that white out or give structure to the white. This would just kind of have oozed out. The white almost needs that black border there to give it context. It's the same way when you're doing any cover-up. You need lines. You have to put lines on things to give structure. If you line with white and fill with white, you're not getting contrast. You need to line and shade partly with black, like you would do with a black and gray tattoo. Use the black as the darkest points of the shading, and use the white ink that you're using as the negative space or the high points of the shading. And then when you do your further passes of white, you can even get white highlights like you would in black and gray by coming in later and only hitting certain parts of the white on black with highlights on the third pass. We're doing the same thing with color. So some parts of this have only been passed, like, believe it or not, some parts have only been passed once, and some parts have been passed twice. And then clearly this yellow has been passed I would say 3 times fully. Same as the color in the eyes here. It's because we're trying to get feature pieces. Now, if you're just trying to texture things out, some of this will only be done twice because we're not looking for it to be super bright. A common thing that people will say is that the color on black will just keep fading back to black, and that's not what happens. And this is, again, a problem with people not understanding how tattoos work. So when you tattoo someone, while it's healing, you're not seeing what the tattoo actually looks like, obviously. But what you're seeing is some amount of the top layer of the skin gets colored during the tattoo process, even if you wipe it off or whatever, until that sheds, you don't know what that looks like. And then some more layers will go over time, and you'll see more and more of what that color actually was saturated to. One pass mixed with the black, it has to try and brighten the black and color the black on that first pass. So one pass isn't going to be enough to do that. If you're looking to get a one pass white on black or color on black tattoo, good luck. It's not going to happen unless you want a really dull result. And I'm never going to peddle snake oil. This is not a magic cure. I didn't just have this thing planted on me. This isn't a sticker. It wasn't just put there. This is the result of labor. I can't tell you how many sessions I've had on my neck. I remember saying recently on a video that I've had my neck tattooed over 30 times or so, and someone flat out called me a liar and it's like, no, you can look back even on this YouTube channel. You can find around 20, 25 sessions on my neck, and I'm not done either. I've actually got a session on my neck coming up because I want to do the second pass on my neck roses like I have done on my arm roses. Even though the neck roses took better to the color on black the first time, you can only saturate so much color into skin in one pass. Then it has to mix down with what's underneath of it and come out with the color that it actually is. The color that it actually is not what it looks like on day one. Color that it actually is something like what it looks like on week 3 or week 4 or something. That's the best of my knowledge. It seems to kind of shake out for the first little while, and then you get the color that you are going to mostly keep after that month or so. Now, as proof of this, my armpit tattoos and these eyes under here haven't been done in 2 years, and they haven't changed. This one is 2 passes. This armpit tattoo is 2 passes, color on black. White on black is only done once here, believe it or not. This one was done once, so the color is a little bit more faint. I plan on getting into that again. We've just been so fucking busy. It's not because armpit tattoos suck that much. I've got too many plates spinning. But these are proof of you don't have to touch things up all the time. That's not what it is. Where you leave it, where it gets to in the saturation is where it stays. It's just that a first pass is only going to saturate so much. It's not like it's not going to be as bright as a normal color tattoo, maybe ever, and certainly not over the first pass. So it's just a problem of people not understanding. The skin cannot take more than a certain amount of ink in a session. That doesn't mean that because you saturated it once, it's saturated fully and you can't go back in. From what I've learned, with some parts of my body being tattooed between 20 and 30 times, is so long as the work is done correctly, it will always take. There is no point where you can't take more ink. And things like this eye on my shoulder or the spider webs on my arm here are proof of this. These are essentially 4th layers, even though it's more, like I said, between 20 and 30 layers in most places. From an artistic standpoint, this is the 4th version of this sleeve from a conceptual standpoint. We did I had my old sleeve, that was blacked out several times, whatever. And then we did a whole bunch of sessions on the white on black and red version of this. And then we've come in and we've done spider webs over that, and we've done full color roses a couple times now. And then we did black shading over top of the red, and all of that still works. It's just a process of layering and patience. It's not a process of like magic or some special ink or some out there technique either. This is just basic tattooing. Anyone can do this, and as proof of this, every apprentice at this shop who's within a year has ended up doing something like this. Even my wife, who's only been tattooing for 3 or 4 years, has already covered black successfully, or 3 or 4 months, has already covered black successfully. Terry was only tattooing for a few years when we started doing the work that we're doing on me. He's the one that's done all of this stuff. He did the red around the moon here. He did my rose sleeve, all versions of it. He's been working on my torso stuff, the eye and all that. So it doesn't take some wizard. Obviously, someone's art is someone's art. So like Rick has a different art style than Terry does. So I don't think Terry could have artistically done this sleeve, but technically he could have done this sleeve because he can saturate ink, and that's really all that's required to do this work. I see a sleeve that's been fairly viral over the last 6 months by a guy named Cody Tattooer, I think. It's not important. You've probably seen it if you're on this video, and it looks like he's got these striking white lines on this tattoo that he's done, but those lines, if you look at them closely, are bolstered by black on black. And this is not to take away from what he's done. This is to applaud him for paying attention to what works and what doesn't. In order to get the white lines to stand out, you border them with new black. You don't just use the old black as a border for the white. That's a path of failure. White on its own will be fairly dull. It can be done. I've had one sent to me recently that was just white on black line work as a sleeve, but it doesn't have the same strength that it would have if they filled the negative black with new black. I hope that that's making sense to you guys, because for some reason a lot of people can't quite understand that. But these were at one point stars, black tiny stars on my face. This is not just white on black. This is black on black and white on black together. And the only reason that it has this black and gray look to it is because of that. So, and this works with all colors as well. It's not just for white, as I said. It's all of them. And even in these roses here, it doesn't look as complicated as it is. You know, this is multiple layers of work. You know, these are 4 different colors because I want contrast, and even then there's still black on black in there. And if there wasn't, then none of this stands apart the way it does. All of this is bolstered with black lines, same as the version of it with the white and black on black was. It all starts with a black outline and black shading, and if it doesn't, it will never be that striking. So the important takeaway from this is you need contrast to get clarity, more so in any tattoo, but more so working on black. It's not going to change much from where you left it. It's just understanding that day one is not what a tattoo looks like. No tattoo looks the same day one as it does a few weeks later. These are facts. And it doesn't mean that wherever it is after it heals the first time is where it has to be forever or will be forever. You get back into it and you do it again. But all of this stuff starts with black on black. If you're not willing to do black on black, I don't highly recommend doing anything over black. So, and that's after doing pretty well every color on black and multiple different types of white on black. The strongest route to a white on black tattoo is by using black on black and highlighting it with white. And that's going to do it for this. I hope that was informative. I hope this has been the video that some people were hoping for. People keep asking me to make a video where it's mostly condensed and the technique is explained that has created my work, so they can just show their artists and hope it makes sense. So hopefully this will do that for you. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.